Hey guys, what's up? It's Claudia Fernandez and I want to welcome you to my YouTube experience. Today we're going to talk about a heavy topic because this is a topic of conversation that's holding us back from A, getting closer to God, B, being financially free, and C, maybe building wealth. So I want to speak about student loan debt and how we want to stay away from the red line. So my student loan were $15,000. Is not that much compared to other people that are 250,000. I have heard stories of people that are in debt worth $250,000. Couples, married, single. It's sad. And I want to pray for my brothers and sisters that are in so much debt, that have families, that have kids, and they can't even send their kids to college because they are in debt worth the child's tuition. Let's talk about it. Let's keep it real. So for myself, I got really lucky, or I should say blessed. I'm actually trying to remove that I'm lucky from my dictionary vocabulary. I got blessed because I asked one simple question. I said, is this the lowest payment that I can make? And they said, no, we can lower it to $13,586. Let me tell you, I didn't want to pay it because when you have the money, you have the advancement of paying for this debt and then being debt free. But then you always come to that point where, well, I can use the money for this. Well, what if I use the money for that? Well, what if I invest it and then I use it and then, oh, but wait, it can go wrong. So I'm like, no, I'm going to open up the gates of heaven and I'm going to make this payment. I'm not gonna set up a month to month. I have the full lump sum. Let me go ahead and pay it off. So yes, I'm currently student loan debt free. I'm not all the way in the clear. I still have some petty collections, some things on my credit that, I need to remove. So I really want to focus on talking to the people on the other side of the screen that watch me and are supporting me, you guys, and just keeping me motivated on filming more YouTube videos. Your life is not over because you have debt, but you can get a better head start once you pay it off. It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. I got this debt back in 2013. I graduated high school in 2012. So right after high school, I went to college. I went to school for fine arts to get a degree in fine arts after I had finished a pharmaceutical technician certificate. I went to school. I was going to school. I started going on the bus because the transportation, got removed. So that really demotivated me from going to school, and I was always an A+ student. I always tried to, I like school, I like learning, but I went to school, I had debt, got demotivated from having to ride the bus, and then I got the opportunity of receiving the Pell Grant. I got the Pell Grant, and you would think that that would cover my books, my tuition, my room and board, but it didn't. The Pell Grant basically covered some of the tuition and some of like the things that I needed, but it didn't cover the place to stay. We had to get an apartment back then. And so, I was going to college, but I was living at an apartment that had nothing to do with the administration, with the school. Okay. I didn't have my own car, so then I had to start taking the bus. That's already like a messed up situation in itself, because if you don't have a reliable transportation, how are you going to make it to the 7 o'clock class, So I struggle with that a lot. After that, I had the opportunity of, okay, well, you can get a loan. You can get an unsubsidized loan and a subsidized loan. So for those of you out there that don't know the difference, one has a grace period where it doesn't get interest, compared to the other one that does get interest after you or during, your loan period. So, those are the two options. You have subsidized and unsubsidized loan. You get the interest after a 6-month grace period, and then the other one, you get the interest during the school year. So I got the loans, I had the Pell Grant, but then I didn't have anybody to whisper in me, do not get this loan. Don't get the loan. You don't need it. It's going to hurt worse in the future. Believe me, you're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to... No one. So I got the student loan debt. It's been from 2013 up until whenever it went to collection, because there are a lot of YouTube videos out there that tell you what student loans are, not to get them, and then how it kind of how it works, but nobody tells you the back end of like when you make the call, who do you call, how do you pay it off. So that's why I'm here. I always want to be that person that tells you how to do things, because that's important. Many of us that are in the Department of Education, like alert category of you owe us money, many of us probably don't have both parents. We're probably a minority, and we probably don't even have a job to pay back. So I want to just take up the stand a little bit and just say, okay, so this is what happens. My debt, my loans, they were late. Like, I passed the time of calling the U.S. Department of Education to pay it. So I had to call this other collection agency to make the payment, and then I guess they get back to the Department of Education saying, yes, Claudia Fernandez paid this debt. She's good. Let's remove it from the credit report. All right, so when I call them, their name is National Recovery. That's the name of their collection agency. Every time I called them, they were absolutely professional. They never treated me wrong, yelled at me, nothing like that. They're always very calm and, diligent, always making sure that they got all the information. So that was good. They made me feel confident. I had to call them a few times because when I made the payment, my bank would not let the payment process because of the amount. So keep that in mind. When you're going to make the payment for your student loan debt, you have to make sure that you either have your bank on the line, or you let your bank know that there's going to be a transaction of, $13,000, right? So that's how that happened. And then, but before all of this, I actually set up like a promise to pay, because I knew that I was going to be receiving the money. So I set up a promise to pay and then I paid it before the promise to pay, you know. And yes, there are options. You can say, I'm gonna make this payment of $200 monthly. But I said no. I said no. I said, I'm not gonna make payments on this loan, on this debt. I want to get it off my back. I don't ever want to owe the U.S. Department of Education. I do credit repair. You know, I know how to fix people's credit. Why is my credit score in the 500s? You know, let me work on myself before I try to gain a client and sit with this client and pour them all of this knowledge, yet my credit report is poor. Okay, so every time I look at my credit, I see U.S. Department of Education, U.S. Department. You can dispute it to remove it when you want to apply for something, but that debt is never going to go away unless you pay it, ever. You know, you cannot negotiate with them. It's a federal government loan. You want to pay the money back. So I pay the student loan off, you know, and I called them. I made sure I have my bank online because the transaction was going to be higher than, you know, what they could, you know, process. So I was having some issues with that because the payment would just not go through. I just wanted to pay it, and it took me about a week to finally get it. Okay, let me just get the bank on the line. Let me just ask them, why is this not going through? What's happening? So finally I pay them, and yet I'm still waiting for my answer. My number one question every time I called the U.S. Department or the National Recovery Collection Agency was this: what happens to my credit score after I pay my student loan off? They could never answer me. All they could say is, you know, we don't manage that. We only focus on repayment. I said, okay. So I'm waiting for my debt to be in the clear, I suppose. You know, I have not heard from them. I have not seen a raise and increase on my credit. But as soon as that happens, I would love to let you know. I would like to let you know what happened to my credit score. You know, because if I'm in the 500s, like kind of low 500s, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. My goal is to get in the 800s. Hopefully, if I can get up there, that will be a huge blessing to myself, to my family, and to other people out there, because when that happens, I can teach you guys how I got there, because I know how to do it. I just haven't had the opportunity yet to like make it happen, you know, because unfortunately there's collections on my credit that don't fully belong to me, and I'm just not in the situation in life where I'm gonna just sit back and let someone else dictate my life, where it's like, okay, well, if that person owned or was supposed to have this debt with me, I'm not gonna just let myself not pay it because they owe half. Like, it's on my credit, I'm gonna have to pay all of it, you know, or find a way to remove it, clean it, you know. So that's my story. That is part of the reason why my credit score is in the low 500s. But, you know, thank God, thank Jesus, thank the Holy Spirit. Like, I thank them all because I'm blessed to be here today. And then not only that, but I'm blessed that I was able to pay off my $13,586 in student loan debt. So sure, you can ask me how I did it. You know, my answer is going to be by the grace of God, because if I sit here and I talk to you about exactly how I got it, how I managed to happen, it's gonna make you dizzy, because there's just so many points of how to how I did it, you know, like it's just a hustle, it's a grind, it's a not giving up, it's you know, you have things in place, you're gonna work it. That's the full story, you know. So what are my goals after this debt is paid off? Well, I want to make sure I paid off any evictions on my credit. I want to make sure I pay off any collection on my credit, and any car debt on my credit, any credit cards on the credit. So it's really sitting with myself and deciding what it is that I want to do after this. What are my goals? And then, you know, okay, well, if this is my goal, then I have to attack this, I have to attack that, I have to figure out this, I have to move this way, you know, I want to do this, I want to do that. So it's really, the objective depends on you. What is your objective? What do you want to do? A big reason for myself to pay off my student loan debt is because I want to marry. I want to get married. And I told myself, you know, if God is watching over me, right, which he is, I want to make sure that my Father in heaven knows that I'm going into a marriage without student loan debt. I'm not going to make my partner responsible for my debt. I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to pay it. I want to make sure that this person doesn't get, you know, attacked with the past that didn't belong to him, you know. And that's my story. That's, you know, how I got into student loan debt, how I repaid it, my process, how much it was. And you guys, the big question that you need to ask your agent is this the lowest payment that I can make? Because just by asking them, you can save yourself like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, you know, just by asking. Pray before you go and you make the phone call. Pray before you make the payment. Like, pray, you know, have it all organized with the Lord. And then after that, ask if you can pay less. And try not to do the monthlies, because life happens and then you're gonna be stuck with that debt and you don't want more interest, you know, on the $200, $300 that you're paying every month. Just pay it off. If you have the money, pay it off. You know, I want to sit here and talk to you guys about this as much as I can, but let me be real with you for 1 second, okay? Like, I would love to sit here and talk to you about how it affected me, how it didn't affect me, how it changed my life moving forward and all that stuff. But the one thing that I cannot do for you is pay it. So what I can say is, okay, after it's paid, how does it make me feel? I feel like that's a useless question, because first of all, we shouldn't have debt. I wish in a perfect world that education is paid for. There are some countries that will do that, but not here. It's not paid for. Okay, and then how do I feel after? I paid money on something that I don't have a degree on. You know, I mean, that's right there is like, does it matter to have a degree? Okay, so I paid something back that we shouldn't have, but it happened. So let's congratulate ourselves that we made it through. But then there's no degree, and then there's no job to go with it. I'm not the only case like this. There are many other people that are in the same or worse. I'm thankful that I went for a fine arts degree and not for a doctorate in something, you know? Like, I'm blessed that my debt was only in the like 2-digit comma, you know, compared to other people that are like 3-digit comma. I've seen some of these when I'm scrolling on YouTube. I go through these videos and I'm like, wow, like you can see the resentment in people's faces. And I'm like, I can see it, you know. Honestly, I'm blessed. That's what I can say. I'm blessed. Now, what I can say, what this has taught me is to stay away from other loans, not necessarily just student loans. Like if I want to go back to school, I know not to get student loans. What I want to say is this: having student loan debt has kept me from getting a house mortgage, has gotten me from getting a car debt, has gotten me from getting a phone debt. You know, when I say phone debt, is one of those things where yes, you can have a phone and you can be on your phone and then you don't pay the bill, then it goes on your credit, but it doesn't help your credit when you have the phone. So it only works in your favor when you pay. So I rather have this idea where instead of paying for a mortgage, paying under a loan, this is important, okay? Because there's so many people out there that can do this. You can have your rent reporting on your credit positively. If you pay your rent, you can have it on your credit report positively. Every month you pay your rent on time, that can go towards your credit report. So there are other ways to improve your credit on things that won't hinder you when you don't work them. So like the phone scenario, that only goes against you when you don't pay, but if you have your house and you pay, it's gonna work in your favor. Do you understand? Like while you're paying the phone, it doesn't report to your credit, but while you're paying your rent, it will. So I say do things like that work in your favor. You guys, thank you for watching my YouTube channel. I welcome you to my experience all of the time, and I am blessed to be in this situation. I no longer have student loan debt. I'm 27. I can say that before I was 30, my student loan debt is done, finished. I don't owe anything. You know, I wish I could help you to pay it, but what I can say is it's worth it, especially if you want to become wealthy. If you want to become wealthy, you must pay off this student loan debt. You know, because you can't say that you have money invested, money allocated, funds waiting for you, but then you're negative $15,000, because then that takes away from what you have saved, you know. So if you have a savings account, I say, which by the way, I'm not an expert, I'm not a financial advisor, but I say if you have a savings account, use that money to pay off your debt, because that money doesn't have any value if you have debt. So let's make it a goal to give our money value. Let's make it our goal for 2022 to give our money value. Right now we're in 2021. We're getting close to the end of the year. So if you can start January with this goal of let's give our money value, we can start growing and raising ourselves, where we can continue to travel and not worry about debt, you know. We can set up our lives, we can set up our families, you know, all those beautiful things, you know. Aside from it all, I just also want to say thank you to so many beings and just God and also YouTube, because we're at 106 subscribers. Last time I did a YouTube video last week, we were at 103. And just in that week, we're at 106. So this tells me that what I'm bringing to you is of value, that what I'm bringing to you is going to increase, and that I'm helping people because people are subscribing to my channel. They're wanting this information. They're wanting this divine attention. They're wanting this divine connection. You know, yes, I don't have a studio where the lighting is perfect. You know, I don't have the best makeup on. I don't have a stylist doing my hair every week. But those things are achievable. All it is me getting on the phone, locating somebody that does makeup, hair, setting up an appointment, and voila. For me, though, I'm working with what I have. I'm working with my iPad at this moment. I'm working with the light that I have, and I'm working just off of the strength that God gives me. And the strength that he gave me was to pay off this debt, to talk to people about it, and to let them know that it is possible. And there are so many ways about it, but the final thing is you must pay it off. So you guys, thank you so much for watching. Support my channel by subscribing, share it if you like it, and come back for more. Hopefully we can elevate everything in our lives, from YouTube to our finances, to our bodies, our health, our just self-love, our caring. But you know, all of the outside appearances things will come when you really get the inside to be your one and only. So you guys, thank you and take care. Bye.